So what does happen if Manchester United don't buy Liam Delap? Where do our transfer targets go? What are the lines that Manchester United go down? We've got lots of reports coming out throughout this afternoon about Manchester United being in for certain strikers because of news circulating from Chelsea's side that Liam Delap is preferring a move to them. Maybe the moves and the talks that are happening are because Manchester United have got wind that this might not actually be a done deal for Liam Delap. As much as we like the setup of Manchester United being ready to go for Delap and getting it over the line, there is still that chance that it is just Cunha before the end of this season and going into June. I don't think Manchester United are quite prepared and ready for anybody else yet. They had their eggs in the Delap basket. We're going to talk about that, where these stories have come from, who's saying what, and what other strikers Manchester United could actually be looking at, as well as your thoughts on this. And get involved in the show, please, today in the live section about what strikers you would want, what strikers you need at Manchester United to convince you that we are going to make a change and we are going to compete for more next season. It's important as well. We've got an update on Marcus Rashford, obviously out for nearly the rest of the season. What does this mean for Manchester United in selling him to Aston Villa? I'm going to talk about that with an update from ESPN, Rob Dawson on that, as you can see going across the bottom of your screen also. In other good news regarding injuries, we've got Ahmad, we've got Delap, and we've got Collier, all returning for the biggest game of the season on Thursday. I want to talk about what Bruno also said about Rasmus Højlund as well. It hasn't been picked up in detail yet, I don't think, but we'll see. We've got time for that later on in the show. First of all, where are the news stories coming around from on Liam Delap and what is going on with this story? It isn't going to turn into a saga. We know that we're going to get a straightforward answer very quickly, which is probably the only good thing about this. The whole thing about Liam Delap is quite good for United because it's a deal that United will know if they're getting or they're not getting by the time the end of the season comes. So June 1st, we know if Liam Delap is going to Chelsea, if he's going to Arsenal, any other club that's in for him right now, or he's coming to Manchester United. Word from United is they are pretty confident that Liam Delap is going to come to them if we get Champions League football, i.e. if we win the Europa League. Now, distinct possibility that might still happen, and of course United do, I think, look, I wouldn't say favourable for the Europa League. I don't even want to say that being so close to the actual game, but you know what I mean, like with the way that we have performed so far this season in the Europa League, I think we do actually have a chance. But looking at this, Manchester United looking down the road, not too far actually, down the road in the Premier League terms, at Crystal Palace's Jean-Philippe Mateta. Now that story's popped up yet again, and Manchester United obviously have, according to Simon Stone of the BBC, obviously invested an interest in Jean-Philippe Mateta. That's one option that United are possibly looking at as an alternative to Liam Delap. Let's just say that. Obviously, Manchester United, when we were looking at Jean-Philippe Mateta, Crystal Palace were still competing on all fronts for them, i.e. doing well in the Premier League, in the FA Cup, now in the FA Cup final. So again, this is not going to be a player that's going to have or give us any indication as to what his future is until the end of the season after that final against Manchester City. So that's Mateta and his situation. Regarding that story and why that's come about, it's because apparently from sources close to Crystal Palace, Jean-Philippe Mateta is stalling on a new deal. Now Palace wants him to sign a new contract. And that would then involve a new sell-on clause, a new buy clause. Now, they're asking him to do that. He obviously, in the position he's in, he's probably had the best season that he's had and would want it to be easy for him to move on if he wanted to move to a bigger club, say. So that's the realism in the situation with Mateta. Manchester United not in a comfortable position there with Crystal Palace. If they do manage to put that new contract on, that takes him off the table because we won't be going in spending anywhere near what Palace will want for that. That's not even going to get into Manchester United's negotiation chambers. But if he doesn't sign it, and like what's been reported, still not signed it, and wants to wait to assess his situation at the end of the season, I wouldn't count out Jean-Philippe Mateta. United are interested in him, but obviously circumstances around Liam Delap will determine whether we do go further into this deal and whether we want to actually pursue Jean-Philippe Mateta even more. So, that's Jean-Philippe Mateta and where we stand with him. Moving on to the next story. And I said this morning, remember what I said this morning about Victor Osimhen? And obviously it's all going to be determined. If United don't get Liam Delap, then Osimhen could still come to United. I still think he could come to Manchester United, but a lot of moving parts have to align for this to actually happen. And that being United probably in the Champions League to be able to afford him, but then you would think we would get Liam Delap if we got into the Champions League. What would Manchester United do if we weren't in the Champions League and Liam Delap didn't come? And then they got a little bit desperate. Now, Graham Bailey has said that Manchester United are still involved and still want to sign Victor Osimhen. They've offered him $13 million a year contract, reportedly. That's only reportedly. But the interest is always going to be there until Osimhen moves elsewhere. Because like we said at the top of this show, and every single player that I mention and striker that I talk about in the opening to this show is all related to what happens with Liam Delap and if that deal actually goes through. So he is the linchpin and the one that will trigger all of these negotiations going even further, and Manchester United diving into more info and detail on all of these strikers. So Mateta, yes, we know we've got an interest. He is on our list. Obviously, Osimhen is a target for Manchester United. He's the higher price. Napoli want that 62 plus million for him in their release clause. They apparently are willing to do a deal which is cheaper if someone comes in June. Look, I think United have pretty much, going off what David Ornstein has said, have just taken themselves out of the equation when it comes to Victor Osimhen. But the only reason we would even talk about it right now, and I think everybody is still reporting on it, is because we haven't got confirmation from Liam Delap. It was 50-50 yesterday. Very unsure. And the more stories that come out about Delap are forcing all of the talk and rumour mill to go elsewhere with Manchester United regarding the striker, because we are going to buy one. It just depends which one. And that, I think that's the killer question. We all know that United want Delap. But it is only going to happen if we lift that Europa League trophy. That, I think, is becoming more and more clear now. So, yeah, we are sort of really backing ourselves up here with other targets that we could possibly be going for. Mateta or Osimhen, get talking about them in the chat as well. The other one, and former Manchester United scout apparently has come out and said that Manchester United are confident that we are going to get the deal done for Victor Gyökeres. Now, I'm sure Victor Gyökeres was binned a while ago. And again, the report came from The Athletic, so I would go with them on this. But this all goes back to exactly what I said this morning. I don't think there's any striker off the table, because one thing Manchester United cannot do going into next season is start it without a new striker. That's a definite. They cannot look, like David Ornstein said, to what they've already got and hope that Rasmus Højlund actually turns a corner and starts turning into this £75 million striker all of a sudden. We know that's not going to happen for Manchester United. That's not going to happen for Rasmus Højlund. Everybody knows that. But what you've also got to look at there is, can they actually rely on Matheus Cunha to play as a 9 as well as a 10? I don't think they've brought him in to play as a 9. I really am convinced that this is more a creation role, and that where he's worked with Victor Pereira at Wolves in this 3-4-3 formation, it hasn't been up front. Obviously, you've had Larson up front for Wolves pretty much the whole season, and Cunha's just played off him in one of the 10s. So I don't see Cunha being a 9. He can, in an emergency, I'm guessing, yes, but we are going to buy another 9 on top of Cunha. So, again, it's like, as long as Liam Delap doesn't sign for Manchester United, I don't think any of these names are going to go away. And the more and more you read into it and look into it and actually have a think about it, the more you realise that, you know what, maybe, just maybe, there is still a chance that United are not saying no. I mean, when you listen to what these people have said, like, you listen to what the Italian sources are saying still, United's still in for Victor Osimhen. Fabrizio Romano says that Manchester United want Osimhen, but it all depends on the finances at the end of the season. David Ornstein says United are not in for Osimhen. That he is not an immediate target. He's not someone that they're looking at. The priority is Liam Delap. What happens if Delap doesn't sign for Manchester United? That's a question that Ornstein can't answer right now, because all of a sudden it changes and Manchester United's priority is no longer there. And then what do we do? Well, we know that Osimhen would come to Manchester United without Champions League football. That's been well written and documented and talked about. So maybe that does come back onto the table. But again, it all evolves around Liam Delap and whether he wants to come to Manchester United. And honestly, you've got a player there like Matheus Cunha who is willing to come to Manchester United no matter what. That's the type of player. Is anybody, I know there's a lot of fans and there's a lot of supporters in my subscriber base that are not convinced by Delap anyway, But is there anybody that is concerned about Liam Delap's will to actually play for Manchester United? Like, it's Ipswich to Manchester United, whether you've got Champions League football or not. Matthias Cunha gets it, but let's not forget, this is a lad that's come from Manchester City and gone to Ipswich thinking he's going to spend a bit of time there and then go on to bigger things. Is in his head, and you can't really argue with him if he wants to sign for another club and go for bigger and better things. I mean, that's his own sort of outlook for his future. But, like, should we really be trying to convince somebody who's had one season? As much as I like him, and I've credited him in terms of what he's done this season, you all know that. I would love Liam Delap at Manchester United. I do like him. I do personally. That's just me. But I do also look at every aspect of what is happening with a transfer. And Liam Delap to United, I'm concerned that he doesn't actually want to commit from Ipswich to Man United, and he thinks he's bigger than United. That's a concern because of United chasing the player in the first place, and a concern also that maybe, unless you've got the likes of Cunha, who's been a fan of Manchester United, who loves Manchester United and sees past all of the crap football at the moment, everything like that, is this a sign of the younger players that United really want to go out and get and not being able to get them because they see other opportunities now, and United are not that low anymore, and coming in to United isn't a big thing. These players want that bit more. They want to be playing in the best competitions. And at United, unless we win the Europa League, they're not going to. Look, I understand from Delap's side of things, he's got other offers on the table and his agent's played a blinder. And the world is at his feet, basically, right now. He can go wherever he wants. So that, I think, is from the player's side, fine, great. But are we not concerned a little bit that it's taken us to finish this season and know where we're actually at for this player to come in? I know it sounds like I'm saying that arrogantly, and there's he should be coming to United because we're United. It does sound like that, and it's not what I'm getting at. I'm just like, it's Ipswich. And the bigger worry, you can look at it from the player side, the bigger worry is the other thing that I said there, which was that are we just not that club anymore where people would go, and young English players would look at us and go, no, it's now Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Newcastle, Villa, Chelsea. This is where the younger English players are going. And that, I think, is the biggest concern for us as United fans, that we have lost that appeal for players. And if you are not in the right competitions right now, which we have taken for granted for years, and just recruited poorly and just dropped, and now we're out of it, I think we're getting a piece of what it was like back in the day from the other side. From when we were successful and everyone else was trying to catch us up and not being in the best position, other clubs could come in and just completely gazump Manchester United right now. And this is, again, I think, why Man United are trying to get these deals done earlier. There is an opportunity for United with something that we've done this season where we've got a little bit of money left in this financial year, where other clubs are waiting for July 1st to come when the new year starts, and that's when all of the normal craziness of the transfer window kicks into overdrive. So I think United are trying to take advantage and get as much done as they possibly can with what money's available, but they've come unstuck against Liam Delap because it's Chelsea who are also in that position because they're in the Club World Cup. And unfortunately, we haven't got a Cunha situation where he's fully on board and wanting to come to Manchester United no matter what. So that, I think, is breaking it down on the striker side of things. The concern and the opportunity and possibility with Delap signing or not signing. And I think we needed to look at that and just go into a little bit of detail on that, so just so we know exactly where we're actually at and where the fans are at and where you lot are also at. So I'm going to get into the comment section in just a moment, so bear with me on that one. We do have an update coming in as well on Master Tuno as well, the 17-year-old from River Plate. That is just hitting the storylines right now from The Athletic. So I'll read that out. In a moment, just to keep you fully up to date with everything that's going on around that deal for him. But let's get into the chat on the opening to the show there, everybody, as well, please. And get your comments in the comments section and let me know what you feel around Liam Delap, what you feel around him. Actually, sorry, I've got something stuck on my foot. Sorry, guys. What you actually feel about him as, and more importantly, not wanting to come to United unless we've got European football. Is that a red flag for you, or is that reality these days? That's the question. That's the question I'm asking. Is he right from his side? And don't look at it with your red-tinted glasses on, please. Judge it from both sides, because I can see it. I can see it. And that, I think, is why Manchester United are also looking elsewhere. I think we have to. and only a clever recruitment, or not a clever recruitment, a normal recruitment team and a normal management at a football club would do this. So yes, I'm happy that we are doing it. And I'm not going to lose sleep if United don't sign Liam Delap. That's how I say it anyway. Adam, that's because we ruin careers with the pressure of the United fan base. Not really, mate. Pressure of the United fan base. We pay probably up there with some of the highest. And don't kid yourselves in what Manchester United actually spend. What Man United fans actually spend. Look, Manchester United have a level. We know how much money we put into this football club. And we have standards. We are not talking here like Manchester United have just dropped out of the top four and we're in the Europa League. We're talking relegation position Manchester United right now. So that pressure is there from the fans because we demand more and we should be getting more after what's been taken from us and how much money's been spent on other things and the money that we have generated as a fan base through this club and all the success that has been at Manchester United. We deserve a lot more. And so I don't think it's this fan base going overly top and overly putting pressure on players. Like, as a United fan, I always give everybody 2 years, mate. And most people know that. I'm at the end of my tether with Rasmus Højlund and Andre Onana. I'm done with both of them players. I know that they're not going to be the quality United need in the future. So when my mind's made up, my mind's made up. And don't get me wrong, I will always take the L if they prove me wrong. And I want them to prove me wrong. I would love it because it means United are doing well. But I know that Andre Onana and Rasmus Højlund are not good enough to take Manchester United where we need to go. You could argue they could be part of a squad that gets us back in the Europa League. But then after that, they're not the future of this club. They're really not. Bruno Fernandes, quickly, just on that, Rasmus Højlund. I'm coming to the comments, don't worry. Bruno Fernandes, he has to look at the people that are creating for him. He has to read the situation and what people are doing for him in the team. As a striker, you need to understand this. It's like Bruno Fernandes is saying everything here for him. And if he cannot get it, we cannot wait around. And I think them words from Bruno were quite true on the point yesterday. He's just not getting in the positions to get the chances. How does Obi come on and get into two positions instantly? And Rasmus doesn't. He was in the right spot for his goal. It's the first time. And it took him over 96 minutes to get in there and get that done. Another game, you're not going to get that much injury time and we lose the game. He was fortunate that Agate mishit the ball, but he was in the right position, so you give him credit for that. But once in a game is not enough. And that's why he's not going to make it. Danny B says, Cunha Delap in the front three is not getting a top five. Ask yourself, is Delap better than Larsson? Oh, God, yes, he is. My God, he is. Larsson is shite. Honestly, that guy is absolute crap. He's worse than bleeding Rasmus Højlund. Honestly, I'm not even going to get into him, but yes. I think Cunha Delap in the front three with Ahmad. You missed a player out there, Danny, actually. Ahmad coming back, that does get you into the top five. I think it does challenge. Well, it won't get us in the top five, I don't think. It get us challenging in and around Europa League, I think. First stage. If you add a few more players to that, then you're talking a bit of a different story. Mark Ash says, Adam, I heard we are looking at Desiree Doué. No, we're not, honestly. Whoever came up with that story, it's a load of crap. We're not looking at Desiree Doué. Literally, PSG moved everybody out of their system to make room for Desiree Doué last summer. They only signed him last summer. The only way that anybody is going to bring Desiree Doué in is by spending over 100 million to bring him in, because that's the price tag that they will put on his head. So I don't see PSG. And I think that story is just fabricated because of Christopher Vivel. And obviously Manchester United's interest in Desiree Doué last season from Rennes. So no, I honestly don't see that happening, mate. Delap is just cheap. That's it. He seems like too much. It seems like too much hassle. We want players that want us, not just the cash. I don't think it's just the cash with him. I think it is actually to do with where he's playing football as well. That's what it looks like. Adam, if we only bring in Delap and he does very badly as our only striker, are you really going to say give him 2 seasons? It's not right to bring Delap in on his own. Still give him 2 seasons, mate. I do. Like, he's still got to show something for me. Like, we cannot say this, can we? Like, we're looking at every position at Manchester United and saying, really there, that we're still judging them players individually and what they do. It's like Andre Onana. See you later. Honestly, like, I've seen like Obi come on and do more than Rasmus Højlund all season when he's come on and made an appearance. He just knows where to be. Rasmus doesn't. He cannot adapt to the way Manchester United want to play. He cannot adapt to what Ruben Amorim wants, like a few players. So it's time. Delap will get a couple of seasons. The only reason Delap's going to survive a bit longer maybe is because he's cheap, like people are saying. That's how I see it anyway. It's a good point, though, Jonathan. It is a good point. I agree with you. I think we need 2 strikers. I do. By the way, here's something I was just talking to Kaz with before, actually. Jonathan David and Delap for the same price it would be for Osimhen. I don't think that's stupid. I really don't. Like, honestly, I think the wages would come under what Leading Osimhen wants as well. I think United are missing a trick a little bit with Jonathan David. Look, I'm not in and around Manchester United in terms of knowing exactly what's going on. They have other plans and they stick to that. And I'm all for that. And credit to them. I respect it. But I just think if Delap doesn't sign for United, I'm not going to worry too much because this isn't the old United. And we won't go out and panic buy. We won't. There will be a plan B. It's just what is the best plan B? Because it's going to be a lot more than what Liam Delap was. Unless you go for Jonathan David, that is. So, yeah, but does Jonathan David want to come in and not play European football? I mean, he's one of the top scorers in the Champions League this season while he was playing in it. So maybe he wants to play Champions League football again. That's another problem for Manchester United. Let's get some more comments on this. Leon says, do you think there's a possibility that things have gone quiet regarding Gyökeres because maybe he's wanting to see if we get Champions League football? See, this was the other point I was making. I've thrown these names out there looking for people's reaction to them. Now, Gyökeres did go quiet because The Athletic said United would not spend £58 million on somebody turning 27. I'm sorry, 58 million for someone who scored over 50 goals this season, who's still got 4 or 5 years left in the tank with younger strikers coming up behind him. I think he's worth the money, but I'm not working at United. They have their own vision, and like I just said, like, stick to it. Don't change because of what I'm saying, other fans are saying, or pressured into doing something that you don't want. Their plan will be the only one that they follow, and I'm happy for them to do that. We're still going to pass judgment and say if what we think is right or wrong. We deserve to. But Gyökeres is an interesting one because nobody's fully committed yet. There's only certain clubs that can come in and buy him for 58 million as well. That's the clause that he's got at Sporting, United being one of them clubs. And obviously Ruben knows him. If you're coming to a point at the end of this season and you've got Champions League football and you can buy a striker, would you go for Gyökeres or Liam Delap? It would be Gyökeres all day long, wouldn't it? But the bigger picture again. And this is where I think the structure is working over Ruben Amorim a little bit as well. I'm pretty certain if you give Ruben a choice, he would go for Gyökeres because he knows him. Then again, we have said this before. Ruben Amorim did scout Liam Delap before he signed for Ipswich. Liam Delap was a target for Sporting last summer under Ruben Amorim. So it's a player that Ruben also wants. So really I'm kind of arguing against myself a little bit on that one there. So reading between the lines, maybe he would have gone with a player that's younger, that he wants to work with. I don't know. Honestly, I would want reliability and I would want someone who I can trust. And that's hard to find. And that's why your recruitment team is so big. And it's interesting, like we said this week, that United are getting rid of so many members of staff within this recruitment structure at the club right now. So, yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. Any takers on Osimhen, by the way, or do you think that one is still dead? Anno in the comment section says, Delap is talented, but he's too young. If we sign Delap, we need 2 strikers. No other way around it. There are way too many question marks around Delap to have him be the one leading the line. Story says, football is not for everybody. Højlund better than Larsen. Rasmus are the... Højlund better than Larsen. Rasmus are the worst striker in the league, and Larsen have scored 13 league goals for effing Wolves. My God. Yeah, no, mate, he's crap. I don't care. Look, it's opinions, isn't it? You could actually say that Rasmus Højlund has scored 9 goals this season as well if you want to. He's crap. And so is Larsson. I wouldn't touch Larsson with a barge pole. Honestly, I watched him at Old Trafford the other day, and Fredriksson had him in his pocket with ease. He's awful. He really is. And honestly, this goes to show as well with Larsson. Let's not forget about this. The amount of assists that Matthias Cunha has created for Wolves this season. That may change the thinking behind someone like Rasmus Højlund. Maybe that's the type of play that you need to fit in to help Rasmus Højlund out as well, taking the pressure off in that front line. Someone a bit different to what Bruno does. Maybe Matthias Cunha is the reason why other players that aren't that good numbers are better. Maybe he could help Rasmus Højlund. Look, I'm clutching at straws, I really am. Numbers don't convince me at all. I've not even mentioned Rasmus Højlund's goals today as the issue. He doesn't get in the positions to get a shot. Never mind goals. Goals can be misleading, they really can. In a lot of players' stats, I don't always fall for it. The stats say one thing, yes, and Bruno has got a lot of them, but you look at what I said earlier on about Bruno Fernandes, and I always back it up with what I say. It's the chances he creates, the big chances he creates. It's not just about assists and goals. It's about stepping up in that moment and still trying to be that player that you know you are and not being afraid to be that player, which I think a lot of Manchester United players do. I really do. Does Liam Delap walk into any of the top 8 Premier League currently? Question mark, says Mr Dacia Sandero. I would say most likely not. At the moment, more chance of him getting in our 11 than the top 8. Cunha is key for me. Well, apparently it is the top 8 that are competing against us, mate, for his signature. So we will see on that, won't we? If he does end up going. Yeah, I'd rather have Henrik Larsson. Definitely agree. I'm hoping that if we qualify for the Champions League, then we have more ambition than signing Delap as our priority. That's an interesting one, Anthony, because if we do get Champions League, then we're going to sign Liam Delap. So what does that tell us? That's an interesting one, isn't it? Cheers, by the way, for all the likes, everybody. If you are loving the content, it's a good old debate today. Then pop a like up on the video. Give it a thumbs up. Thank you, everyone. Make sure that you have subscribed to Forever United TV as well, if you haven't. I keep you up to date with everything that's going on. We are discussing where United are at with Delap right now, if you have just joined us, and what our other options actually are, because the story and the noises coming from Chelsea is they are very, very confident now about signing Delap. So where does that leave Manchester United in all of this? Where does that leave us and our bid for Liam Delap? That's the question. Question to the FUTV community. Does anyone see Victor Osimhen coming to any club in the Premier League? Says Graham. Personally, I don't know. I don't see him coming. I think there will be a stage where it gets a little bit desperate for clubs. And Osimhen might not have made his Saudi Arabia move. And then you start to go, ooh, actually, because Napoli are desperate, Osimhen will be desperate to make a move. And other clubs, if they cannot get their first targets, will look at someone who is going to give them goals, and they will push the envelope. They will. I personally think he's still going to go to Saudi. I do. I think he's going to follow the money. I'd take Larsson. He's good. Better than Højlund. I don't want any of them, mate. Thanks for the super chat, Dylan. I really don't want any of them. I don't rate either. Gyökeres all day, over 50 goals this season already, and just scored 2 hat-tricks the last 2 weeks, including 4 last night in a 5-0 win. Yeah, he's not missing Amorim, is he? He's not missing him. Graham, I think Osimhen is off to Saudi. Yep, I think a lot of people are saying that. Garnacho doesn't pass to Rasmus. He ignored him several times yesterday when in decent positions. I disagree, Mr. Dacia Sandero. I don't. Rasmus wasn't making the right moves yesterday. I was watching him yesterday in the moments, and it was a moment when Garnacho hit a shot, and Rasmus just wrestling with his striker. He didn't give him the slide ball option. He's just wrestling with his defender, and he's not giving him an option. Garnacho was right to take the shots he took yesterday. 100% behind Garnacho on that one. I'll say it as it is and what I see. And Rasmus just isn't getting into positions. It's like it's constantly the same. It's like the ball that gets put across from Garnacho that goes right across the line that he doesn't get his foot on against Wolves. It's like when Rasmus runs clean through and there's someone in a better position, he's just desperate to look after himself and not pass it across when there's an easier chance for somebody else. But he's all there always, kicking posts and going mental and having hissy fits when someone doesn't pass to him. Honestly, I don't get what Rasmus Højlund's issue is in terms of players not passing to him. I don't get it. Because he isn't in the right positions to receive the ball, I don't think. I don't think he makes enough space for himself. Just my look on that one. Can he get better with another striker to work off? I think Rasmus can get better. I'll say it again. I don't think Ruben's willing to give him the time for what he needs. At the end of the day, the manager's position is always going to be a shorter-lived one than the players. And I think Amorim is the only manager that's been in at Manchester United post Alex Ferguson that's realised that. And that's why we're talking about these players are being booted out. Well, booted out, sold on. Anyway, other news from Manchester United regarding Rashford. Obviously, we know that he's now injured with a hamstring injury. Didn't stop him going to the boxing the other night. I mean, Watkins was at the boxing as well. Rashford's hamstring injury does not require surgery. So Manchester United's medical team are liaising with Villa's medical team to try and get Rashford back on the pitch for Villa this season. He isn't coming back to United just yet, but Aston Villa is United's last game of the season and Rashford is not eligible to play in that game because of the loan system. So Rashford's got, what's he got left of the season? 3 weeks. Can Rashford return to action for Villa for the last few games of the season? What have they got? 3 or something like that before they play United? And then that's it. Season over. Can they get him back on the pitch? Has he done enough to convince Aston Villa he's worth investing in permanently? That's another question. Has Rashford done enough under Unai Emery? Does Unai Emery love him enough? We've talked about the stories between him and Watkins and the situation developing there. I don't know. Let's see. Let's get some more comments on this one. Tunnel Vision, where have you gone there? You just gone off my screen, mate, sorry. Gyökeres is the classic case of player looking elite in a Farmers League. Drop him into the Premier League and he's just another average striker struggling to get a shot off. So that's Gyökeres, Pontins League in Portugal. Osimhen, not good enough, only done it in Turkey and Italy. Delap, who has done it this season in the Premier League, not good enough because he's too young. Philippe Mateta, we're not going to buy a Palace player because that's just not Manchester United. I go on. There's always an excuse for someone to say that this player is just not good enough. Who do you buy then? Who is the right striker? I'm not having a go at you, Tunnel Vision, there. You might have picked Delap already as your striker, but what options do we have? Everybody we're looking at, barring Liam Delap, is out of the Premier League. Not Premier League strikers. You could argue maybe Mbeumo is the only other one. That's it for Manchester United. So who is it? What is the right call for Manchester United in all of this? That's the question. Like, what if Delap doesn't sign? What's the right striker? And why I did this video tonight, because it is a tough question, because the options are not there, because the reason Delap would not be signing for United is because we're not in the Champions League. And that's becoming very, very clear. So what options do we have if we're not in the Champions League? We overspend on Osimhen, try and lure Mbeumo in. Maybe he goes to Liverpool. There's takers for him everywhere. This is what I mean. This is the problem. Like, can you lure someone like Ekitike across from Frankfurt if we're not in the Champions League, when they probably will be when they finish top 4 in the Bundesliga? All of these questions start to creep in, and then you start to think, you go, actually, you can actually see why United have gone in quickly for Delap to try and get a deal done, because everyone who needs a striker is going to be after some serious talent that's out there in the market, and United could get left behind. So I think they've made their intentions very, very clear very early, United, for this reason. And this is what I think has been recognised by Manchester United's management and new structure and recruitment team right now. We wouldn't have done this before. And you all know we wouldn't have gone in early in a transfer window. We don't do this. We linger, we waste time, we look at certain situations, and then somebody else comes in and takes our targets away. It happens every single time. We know it does. So really, right now, this is all because of the new team that's in place, and we know it is. Passed over 200 live likes, everyone. Great stuff. Well done, you all. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Love it. Apparently, I had a minor hamstring, but was nowhere near Wembley with the teammates out on the lash for the boxing. It says, Gary. Mateta is twice the player Delap is. In size, he is. Man, he's a monster. Pig riser, thank you. Ollie Watkins does not fit United's profile for number 9. No, Ollie Watkins is too old. Don't quote me and say that is like 29 is too old. It's not. Obviously, I know it's not. Some brilliant players that can still play on till like mid-30s. But for United's profile, it just does not fit. It doesn't fit. I agree with Graham on that one. My reasons behind it is he's too much and there is no future in him, finance-wise. Ollie Watkins is a player that Arsenal will buy because they're in the Champions League and they can afford him and he's the icing on the cake. He's someone that Liverpool can buy. I've said this before. He's not what United can buy. We're at a different level to them clubs in the Champions League. He's a Champions League player, as in a Champions League club will buy him because they can afford to. United cannot afford to because there's no future in him. But if Watkins gets them further into the Champions League, then it pays for itself. United haven't got that option. Now, if we get in the Champions League, like I said before, all bets are off. And anything is possible. Anything is possible for Manchester United if we get into the Champions League. And that is going to be interesting to watch in this transfer window if it does happen. Excited. God, the summer is going to be absolutely mental. The money that United will be able to spend if we do get Champions League football, God, there's a lot riding on this. There really is. So it sounds like you trust the new team in place, but you question who they're signing. Not really, Justin. I trust them to actually make the right call. I didn't question who they were signing. I said go with what their structure is and we will judge it when it's made. Do I want Delap? I like Delap. I do like Delap. I think he'll be a good player for United. Is there another striker out there that I would have picked? Yes, of course there is. Well, that's just my opinion on it. I like Jonathan David. I like Victor Osimhen. I like Victor Gyökeres, all ahead of Liam Delap. But I get what they're doing. I do. And like I said, I'm not in and amongst it at Manchester United. I'm not the one who's calling the shots. So this is on them. And we will judge what they do. We can only talk about what we think is possible and hope happens at United. So, no, and I've said this all along. I've questioned a lot of the stuff that they've done. But so far in terms of transfers, you won't get me complaining about players that we've bought and the deals that we've done. And you know that if you watch the channel. We paid too much for Agate and Dorgu should be spent on a striker. I don't think we paid too much for Dorgu. I really don't. And I don't think Agate was too expensive either. I really don't. We spent too much on Rasmus. We spent too much on Mason Mount. We spent too much on Andre Onana. And we spent too much on Anthony and Casemiro. Them days were when we were talking. We didn't spend too much on Agate and Dorgu. We're just lowering ourselves again to have a go at what's actually there in front of us right now because nobody thinks that United are capable. It's like you cannot say that we overspent for anybody this summer, I don't think, comparing what we'd done before, surely. You can't go off the first two Ten Hag transfer windows and say that we overpaid this summer just gone. Surely you can't. I think, like I said, Dorgu right now, I want to give him time. He reminds me of Patrice Evra when he first came in. Absolute headless chicken halfway through a season, but then went away and actually did something. He learned about United. He had the pre-season. He came back a different animal. I know that's a freak of nature in Patrice Evra, and there's no guarantee that Dorgu will do that. In fact, I'm not confident he will get to them levels, but still, I want to see him get a full pre-season, get a bit more comfortable. It's hard coming in January in a position within a really poor Man United side. You can't expect anybody to absolutely destroy it. You just want to see a little bit of stability, don't you? But even that we've struggled to find. And it's all come down to Manchester United's players that have been here for years really just not being good enough. And that's what it's always been. Like I said it before. What was it this morning I said it? The fact that Manchester United finished the game with Bournemouth at such a crucial stage of a season with Victor Lindelof and Luke Shaw in the lineup finishing that game, it's an absolute disgrace. It's an embarrassment. Trevor Wade's in the house. Hello, Trev. Evening, Adam. What's the crack, buddy? T's younger looking. You're getting Kaz definitely a positive influence. In your getting Kaz definitely a positive influence. I'm not sure what that means there, Trev, unless I've misread that one. But thanks anyway, mate. Thanks anyway. Let's get some more comments in, opening it up. And before we move on to our last segments, no top four side are going with Delap as their main striker. Chelsea, mate. Chelsea could do it. Arsenal could do it. Liverpool, can you imagine? Liverpool, if they sold Núñez, they could go with Delap. Obviously, if they do sell Núñez, then I don't think Liverpool are in for Delap, to be honest. But I think obviously the only ones that I won't see him starting for or having a chance to start for is obviously Newcastle with Isaac. I don't think he'll start ahead of Haaland at Manchester City. But the others, I think he could challenge Jackson. He could challenge Havertz at Arsenal. He could definitely, with what's happening at Aston Villa, challenge there as well, because I don't know if Rashford or Watkins are going to be there at the end of the season. It's crazy situation at Villa Park, it really is. So yeah, let's see what develops there with Marcus Rashford. But we were talking about Rashford just a moment ago, and we got sidetracked. Sorry. Rob Dawson of ESPN saying that United are liaising with Aston Villa. Obviously, the injury, I can't see him playing again this season. It's a typical situation for Manchester United when we're having to actually hope that Marcus Rashford is sold and he can't finish a season. Like, he's been doing okay, and then bang, gets an injury, and it sort of just shakes off anything that's been done before, and it goes all quiet, and everybody's interest in him drops. I hope he does actually come back and play some more this season, so we can see more of him in a Villa shirt, and they can be convinced by him. But I'm asking myself now, right, looking at it, right, if the season's over, has he done enough? I think he's had a positive influence. I think he's done okay, and Unai Emery actually is playing him ahead of Watkins, so that's a good sign. But then again, he could completely scupper this up himself, couldn't he, by saying, I want to play with a Champions League club. He thinks he's got the right to actually call where he actually goes, having contributed to Manchester United's downfall. Honestly, the front of the man. But again, I just hope I'm not having to deal with him anymore or talk about him that much. But I just get that horrible feeling that he's going to come back to bite me. And you know how I feel about him. I do. Please do well, Marcus. Please do well. Please do well. That's all I want. Just do well. Other news for Manchester United. Amad, De Ligt and Collier back in training. Boom! Who drops out for Amad this week if he's fit? He's not going to start. I'm only joking. There's no way that Amad starts against Bilbao. Not a chance, I don't think. He might make the squad. Now, he's in training. So, if he's in training, Amorim may be tempted. That's all we're saying. He may be tempted. I don't think De Ligt will start either. In fact, neither one of them three starts the game against Bilbao. You may be looking to see them on the bench, is my prediction in this one. And obviously, when Ruben speaks on Wednesday, we will know closer to the time. Obviously, United fly out on Wednesday morning to Bilbao. So, really exciting week for Manchester United in the build-up to this game right now. But the fact that we're talking about Amad possibly returning is really interesting, because the rumour is that Manchester United are not going to play a strong side against Brentford at all. It's going to be a complete makeshift. So, do we risk Amad in that game, ready for the second leg? We cannot bubble wrap him just for the Europa League. He needs match minutes. So, I think maybe come on as a sub for Bilbao and then start against Brentford. Maybe, or get a good minutes against Brentford. Look, don't rush him back. If it's a couple of substitute appearances, a few minutes against Bilbao if needed, if we're winning, don't bring him on. I would sub him on against Brentford and give him minutes there. Only in sheer desperation of completely going out of the tie do we bring Amad on Thursday night for me. I do. Obviously, when he's fit, he starts, no doubt, obviously, but I'm scared shitless, honestly, that we might lose somebody again at this stage of the season. But again, I've said this with Mount, he needs to start playing games. I don't know why we're resting him too much. We're resting him the way we are. If Luke Shaw can play 90 odd bleeding minutes, Mason Mount can get 70. I don't get it. I don't. All of the hype around Ruben Amorim's love affair for Mason Mount, and now he's available. He's not bleeding using him. I still don't get it. I don't. But look, Amad, no, I don't want to jinx this, but him being back could be the difference between everything that we've just spoken about regarding the transfer window and not. That's how good of an influence that he is on this team, I think, and how much Ruben Amorim is relying on him. He could be the difference for Man United getting into that Europa League final, and even better, winning it and getting into the Champions League. That's the importance of Amad coming back to Man United's side. And I'm excited to see him back again, because I think he is a game changer. And he adds goals. He adds creation. And that's something that we are drastically lacking at the moment. So yes, Let's see. Mason Mount. Mason will mount a challenge very soon, says Trevor. Sounds like Trev's on form tonight, doesn't it? What Glazers have done is having stupid bank people running the club. Agree with that story. They should never had anything to do with football. They have spent more money than any, but hate them for taking money out. They've spent none of their own money is what we should be saying, mate, on that. They spent our money, the club's money, and wasted it, while still taking their own money after spending nothing to get in control of the football club. Absolutely right, Adam. Got to be careful with Ahmad. There's something not right with Mount. He just doesn't look like a fit at Manchester United. Talk about a misuse of money. Sorry, I read that wrong there. Look, it is going to be interesting how I think De Ligt will be back for. I think we could see all of these players against Brentford. By the way, Ahmad, Collier, and De Ligt, key positions like. De Ligt will be on the bench, I think, for both Bilbao games. And don't get me wrong, there's a chance that he could start one of them games as well, because he has been immense for us this season and has been a go-to for Ruben Amorim and ever-present. I think he could feature somewhere along the line in these Bilbao games for United. I really do. But I don't want... They're both ankle injuries, aren't they? Ahmad and both De Ligt. So if they're running, then... I don't think we've really got too much of a problem. I don't think we can be that consistent. It's not like it's a muscle injury and they're going to be busting a gut. They're running, they're on grass, they're training, they've got the impact side of things there. With it being ankle, I'm a lot more confident than it would be with a muscle injury or something like that with both of these players. So, I think... Actually, I'm now thinking that De Ligt will play in that second leg against Bilbao because he's going to play in the final, I think. Touch wood quickly. I'm jumping the gun there and getting United to a bleeding final. I know, getting a little bit giddy with myself. Isaac says, we don't need Gyökeres. We should work on Chido Obi instead. Give him chances like Nico Williams of Athletic Bilbao. We should help Chido grow and have the confidence that lad is good. I mean, he is good. But let's not forget, he's 17. And we cannot have a 17-year-old, 18-year-old... 19-year-old to that matter, coming in and being the man that everybody looks to score the goals for Manchester United. He cannot lead the line on his own for Manchester United. That's what you're up against. That is why Manchester United right now need two strikers, in my opinion. And one of them has to be an experienced one to help, like Isaac says, the likes of Chido. They need role models. They need players and experienced players to work off and learn from. It's like what I just said about Bruno, telling Rasmus Højlund what he needs to do, how he needs to act and where he needs to be as a striker, what he needs to anticipate. The experienced players know, and you can gauge so much from playing or working with someone like that in training. Like Rasmus has got no one there, and that's where I will defend Rasmus. He's got no one at Man United to work off. No one at all. It's an absolute disgrace how... his role models, or the people that he was looking up to, were the likes of Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford. Oh, good God. Like, honestly, what hope has he got? And he still scored more than both of them last season. But the second season syndrome has hit him, and he's regressed incredibly. And there's no excuse for the regression of Rasmus Højlund. Like, the chances and the creation of chances. He's had chances. He's had big chances in big games. He could have won us the game at Anfield. He could have won us the game against Arsenal at Old Trafford. He fluffed his lines both times. That's enough on him anyway. Enough on him. Collier's an interesting one coming back as well for Manchester United. That will be something... I think we'll see at Brentford. And like Collier, he's a weird one, Toby Collier, because he's just not been consistently available enough to really stake a claim. I think he's a steady, tidy player. I just don't see where he fits in at the moment at United, or what position he plays. I think he could maybe play the Agate role. That's about it. But then again, is he as aggressive as Agate is? He's a bit part player that will come in here and there. I think that's it. And that I think is his war. But I think he's happy to be that squad player at Man United. And Lord knows we need them. That is it for tonight, everyone. Thank you so much for being part of the show. Absolutely brilliant. As always, great little debate there on the strikers. Drop your comments in below and let me know what you think in terms of if we don't get Delap, who is the next striker for United? Big question. Talk to me below. I'll drop that into the questions, into the comment section, actually. But that's it. Thank you, mods. Fantastic job in the chat, as always. Members, new subscribers, welcome to Forever United TV. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that button. Keep the bell notification on. It's getting interesting. That silly transfer season is around the corner now, everyone. Not long at all. Literally, now what we're looking at, just over 4 weeks till that window opens. Wow, it's getting interesting. But that's it for tonight. I'll see you all 8 o'clock in the morning with your United updates live. Have a good one, everybody. Great night, and I'll see you then.